In 40 years what will people be nostalgic for? Honestly probably malls. I feel like a lot of them are going out of business and getting torn down. Well, at least the old mall experience. The internet. Hell, I'm nostalgic for it now. Not the final form that the internet has taken over the past decade or so, but those Wild West days before YouTube, Facebook, social media, Reddit, finding weird A sites, GeoCities pages, looking up cheat codes for GTA, hanging out on forums, seeing something go truly grassroots viral and not just because it's trending on Instagram or something. Those days when no company knew what the hell the internet was or how to market on it. It was just left to the nerds and the kids who were making up the rules as they went along. I miss when the internet felt like a little adventure rather than a time sink or utilitarian tool to get the day-to-day done. I read an analogy comparing the internet back in the day versus now to the decline of the shopping mall leisure experience. You go online knowing it was going to be a fun experience, with tons of boutique little gems to delight you. The cool indie blogs, the quirky forums, the pages of jokes not memes put up just for the fun of it. Then you turn off the computer and do something else. Satisfied. Now, it's like a mostly cavernous husk, where you circle endlessly between the handful of big sites that have persisted where others have floundered. You check in all the time, but it's just the same old crap warmed up and served up by the same folks, over and over. Yeah, there was something so satisfying about sitting in front of a boxy screen, clicking on that dial-up, waiting for the connection and then just surfing random for a couple of hours. And that was it. A couple of hours. Poppable bubble wrap. I hate that bubble wrap that the air just moves to the next bubble when you try to pop it. That stuff should be illegal. What? If you are taking about what I think you are taking about, it is technically more effective because it is cushioned but doesn't pop. But I found out that you can pop it by bunching up one row of them and squeezing. It honestly just as satisfying if not more emo once you learn how to do it. Safer transport and better popping. From somebody who likes to pop bubble wrap. What in the effing hell did you just say? In case you haven't seen, there is now bubble wrap that will not pop. All the bubbles are connected and have plenty of free space. It's bad. Movie DVDs. With everything going digital, I think production houses will soon stop making DVDs and just start streaming the movies in either their respective streaming platforms or sell them to other platforms like Netflix. Got me a new music CD today. Friends think I'm insane. I like physical movies, CDs, books, and video games. I'm 16. Sure, digital is more convenient, but some reason I like to hold my possessions. Plus being able to save movies CDs to my computer and lending them to my pals. I think YouTube, like how us 80s/90s babies miss early Nickelodeon and Saturday morning cartoons, I think future generations will miss the unlimited content. I mean, it's already there. Remember video replies? Most don't. It used to be a thing when YouTube worked more like a social media site. YouTube has already changed so much. I think a lot of people are also going to miss the money they made. A lot of people became set up for life going forward. I miss when you could change the background on your YouTube channel before Google took over. I already miss pre-2010 Wild West YouTube before greedy media companies and artists threatened takedowns and before monetization spawned ads, annoying celebs, and an overwhelming amount of content just to generate views. Just like most things, there's an early conception and test phase that's usually built and expanded by a passionate fan user base. Then once it becomes popular enough, the bean counters start to stick their paws into it. Then it turns to shh. I know it's become a cliche at this point, but this really resonates with the before it became mainstream feeling. YouTube is a perfect example. It used to have a small community type feeling to it, where anyone or any idea could really be the next big video. But now it's more like cable television and for the most part feels so disconnected to the original user base. Oh well, there will always be the next thing. This is a point. I already miss the debatably good pre-2015 YouTube rewinds. Yeah, I don't dislike the stuff that's on there now. Well, other than the obligatory ads. But there was definitely a DIY quality to a lot of the older YouTube videos. Now they all seem like professional productions, which again isn't bad. But it's just different. As someone who has been regularly on YouTube for a decade, I've never cared about rewinds. I think I'll be more nostalgic to certain creators and time periods. For example, gameplay montages synced with punk music. Before all rabbit holes led to George Soros conspiracy videos. Now not YouTube but certain YouTubers that just grow up or change their style of vids or pass away. Back in my days we used video games with controllers. I was talking to my sons the other day. They asked me about my first job. I was telling them how fun it was working at McDonald's in high school and a friend that I made. We would finish our shift then go to the mall and play games at the arcade. At that instant I realized I might as well said we would get a root beer float at the soda shop then go to the sock hop to meet some girls in our hot rods. Crazy how fast things change. So anyway, Joey and me used to whip through work, nay down to the Joel shop, dab on some haters and go home to play Fortnite until our parents shut off the Wi-Fi. I was once on the phone with Blockbuster Video, which is a very old-fashioned sentence. That's like when your gram would be like, we'd all go play jacks by the soda fountain, and you're like, nobody knows what you're talking about, you idiot. You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy. Baby's toy. Video games with telepathic controls will be cool though. Being able to say it must have got lost in the mail or I didn't get your text as a life or ignoring someone. I work in tech and the old joke is features, schedule, budget, quality pick 2. I don't think you need to worry about losing bad quality communication to blame things on anytime soon. In hardware it's fast, cheap, or good pick any 2 inches. Privacy and water. Oh, you will have water, but it will cost you a lot. Nestle entered the chat. High quality Nerf blasters. Nerf no longer makes anything worth buying unless you think it looks nice in my opinion. If you are not already, buy all your blasters and darts from Dart Zone. Kind of related. What happened to good super soakers? When I was a kid we had super soakers that you pumped up and they stored air pressure in a tank. Then you could shoot a consistent water stream. Now when I see kids play with super soakers, the guns don't seem to have a pressure tank. The gun fires on every pump. It doesn't store pressure. What the hell? That's obviously a downgrade. I think I saw something once that said it was related to a patent dispute or something. Freedom on the internet. I have a running joke that I'm from the future and I'm relieved that I'm back in the glory days of 2020. Don't let him run too far. People are complaining that this summer is too hot. I'm just over here enjoying the coolest summer for the next 100 years. This was the comment that depressed me. Can I borrow your sports almanac? Privacy. If the governments do it right, they'll slowly erode people's privacy rights, and few if any will notice or complain. In fact, it's already working. Congress renewed the Patriot Act last November, and the Senate voted this year to allow the CIA and FBI the ability to view a citizen browser history without a warrant. Do you remember either event being seriously covered in major media outlets? And do you remember any mass public outcry? Me neither. My family and friends couldn't understand why I, a lifelong computer nerd, was so bent out of shape about the Patriot Act. It isn't just the Patriot Act. They also try to sneak in anti-privacy laws through other things like Foster Sister and the Earn It Acts. Because they are embedded in anti-sex trafficking laws, nobody wants to be the one going actually sex trafficking is good. Except, ironically, sex workers and victims of sex trafficking, since they know they aren't actually helped by those laws. In case it wasn't obvious, I'm saying sex workers did not support Foster Sister because they knew the law would put them in danger of becoming sex trafficking victims, which it did, and because they saw the law for what it was, which was a cover for the groundwork of censorship and anti-privacy laws. Nobody listens to sex workers, but they are like the canary in a coal mine for a lot of social issues. Turned on VPN. Maybe VPN subscribing will put you on a list of suspects. Top 3 things that came to my mind. Going to the movies. Being able to flip to a random channel. Driving to places. Maybe 40 years is too soon for this to be nostalgic, but it'll happen soon enough. Damn. The movie one hit hard. A small local theater near me just shut down for good, and I can't express how disappointed I'd be if the movie theater industry just never pops back up after this pandemic. Some of my best childhood memories are from the movie theaters. Nah, I think they'll be heading for a golden age. Hollywood won't stop making movies. I haven't flipped a channel since 2005. Driving a car yourself. I hate this because I haven't had my license in a while and I kind of wanted to maybe drive again, but probably not. Maybe you can go to a track or something in the future. Drive an old Timmy combustion engine car. In the future driving cars will be like riding horses today, an expensive hobby, mainly for the rich. Freedom and privacy. We are losing both at an alarming rate, with almost no public attention to it. We just spend 5 months with family, having dinners together, watching TV together, playing games, just being a family. Kids are going to grow up remembering the time they had with their parents and siblings. There will be good memories. This was more wholesome than I first expected. Adults forget how resilient kids are. I can guarantee most of the adults complaining about getting back to normal would love to go back and have just 1 month with their dad playing catch or watching TV. Well, I'm a teen and I found being alone with just my family for a few months pretty horrible. I'm in college and I'm glad that the pandemic struck after I moved out from my family's place so that I didn't have to spend months alone with them. Drinks full of sugar, food full of salt, oh and antibiotics that still work. I'm still angry they took the Coke out of my Coca-Cola. You know you can just add it back in, right? Privacy and the ability to go somewhere without seeing 75 cameras all the time. Went to the beach today and no one was in the water except for me and my friend. Everyone else was waiting for golden hour in their dry beach wear. Polar bears and bees, which will also mean many fruits and nuts, and a million other species. Based on a 1,500 page UN report, 1 million species may be pushed to extinction in the next few years, with serious consequences for human beings as well as the rest of life on Earth. We are experiencing at least the second fastest extinction event on the planet. At present, the rate of extinction of species is estimated at 100 to 1,000 times higher than the background extinction rate, the historically typical rate of extinction, in terms of the natural evolution of the planet. Also, the current rate of extinction is 10 to 100 times higher than in any of the previous mass extinctions in the history of Earth. Sad to think that my children and grandchildren are inheriting a shell of a natural world we enjoyed. There are already so many animals that are hanging on by a thread, and so many that are functionally extinct, doomed to extinction because their gene pool is so small. Not just species, but habitats too. The Great Barrier Reef, gone. The last of the world's mountain glaciers, all but disappeared. The Brazilian rainforest, hanging on by the skin of its teeth. I work in sustainability and it's kind of my job to stay positive about this stuff, but I have seen precious little cause for optimism lately. Probably a lot of stuff people will be nostalgic for isn't even invented yet. 40 years ago was 1980. I was a teenager. If that question had been asked then, some very similar answers would have been given. Clean air, clean water, clean earth, non-radioactive land. Between 3 Mile Island and the getting hot Cold War, we thought there was a pretty good chance of some kind of nuclear apocalypse. Various species of animals, neither the California condor nor the American buffalo, among others, were looking too good. There was some general fear about computers and what they would do. See films like 1983's War Games. And yet, here we are. A little better in some aspects and a little worse than others. 2020 is quite a downer of a year, but human beings are endlessly optimistic and adaptable. I predict in 40 years we'll look back on some of our fears today like 80s folks look back on things like Genesis Land of Confusion video, a little nostalgic, a little embarrassed and a little humbled by both how much and how little has changed. Agreed. But I'd like to add one. Snow. Here in Denmark we haven't had real snow in a while and probably won't anytime soon. You can now buy Danish wine, which is quite alarming to me tbh. Best comment in this thread. There is an entire generation that's growing up on finger puppet videos and random kids themed YouTube channels right now. Honestly, I'm scared of the hell to be brought upon us in 30-40 years. Ah yes, the Spider-Man Elsa generation. God, this comment section is depressing. It's Reddit, we'll be alright, I promise. Healthy spines and happiness. Things aren't what they used to be is the rallying cry of small minds. When men say things used to be better, they invariably mean they were better for them, because they were young, and had all their hopes intact. The world is bound to look a darker place as you slide into your grave. Ikomo Koska. These replies are depressing. No wonder no one wants kids. Kids, remember kids? Remember people used to get pregnant and have wee babies and all? Ah, those were the days. I just watched Children of Men last night. Man, your comment just got to me. The reality of the future is depressing. I feel like society in general has been putting the blinders on for years, acting like it isn't. Our children and grandchildren are going to ask why we let all these things happen, and I won't have many good answers for them. Clean air. I am already nostalgic for the time before forest fire season. Imagine how clean the air must have been during biblical times when you'd be the only person for miles. I'm guessing you're not old enough to remember the air in the 70s 80s in LA. I'll take today and likely the future any day over the smog alerts. Hardcover books. Comfortable temperatures. Laughs in Texan. Yee ha ha ha. Flipping through cable aimlessly, not really sure what will be on any channel and just going till you hit something decent. The place I'm at now has free cable included and sometimes I'll waste hours just flipping through. It feels just like the early 2000s again and is a crazy throwback feeling to watching TV before everything was on apps and on demand. You kinda forget you used to watch TV by finding the channel and how you felt like you just found $5 if you happened to catch a good episode rerun of one of your favorite sitcoms late at night when most of the channels were doing late night infomercials. Or how if you couldn't find anything good so you'd just sit there and watch an infomercial about Bowflexes for half an hour, and watching the news air on TV instead of getting news through YouTube videos or posts on social media. If you wanted to know whether it was gonna rain that weekend you had to wait till the news cycled back to the weatherman every 20 minutes or so, having to plan bathroom sprints around commercial breaks so you didn't miss a big play during a big championship game. The experience of watching porn by Cinemax late at night when everyone else in the house was asleep, planning your whole afternoon around getting all your errands done by dinner time so you could catch Jeopardy or Judge Judy, watching cooking shows in your underwear and trying to write down a recipe and getting mad because you missed a step and it's live so you can't rewind it like you can now with DVR or on demand. Cash money. Besides the occasions when dealing with cash is just a lot more convenient. It's art all those paper bills and coins are designed. Some are beautiful. Work-related pensions. They don't exist already for the large majority of us. They're youth. Having people stay 6 feet away from you at all times and all places. The environment that COVID showed us when we stopped polluting it for 2 weeks. Now it's alright. We'll go back to polluting in about a year or so. Minecraft. It's already nostalgic for me and I still play it. Avatar: The Last Airbender because it's still good. Koalas. Playing physical games with friends. Going to friends' houses to play basketball, soccer and a few video games, and then have a sleepover. Socializing to the extent even the youngest here have experienced. Seafood. There won't be anything left in 40 years.